First race I want to look at on Saturday is the novice hurdle, the 2 mile 5 novice hurdle. And there's a horse here that I'm actually a really big fan of. I think I'm a fan of the race that he ran in at Sandown. Constitution Hill won it. Mai Tai was second. Keep an eye out for him at the weekend. And Outlaw Peter was third. And I thought it was really interesting that Paul's going down the novice route still with Outlaw Peter. Now, obviously, he was a novice because he didn't manage to win until May the 2nd when winning a pointless race at Kempton. But he'd previously run some really good efforts behind Ask Me Early, behind, as I mentioned, Constitution Hill and Mai Tai. There's some really big figures, and he's just looked like he's improving again. You know, his R figures are going up. His last time out effort at Exeter, when over this 2 mile 5 trip, was very good. He absolutely walloped Sporting Ace. They went off 4-7 and 3-1, but when you think about that, you don't expect the 4-7 shot to win by 19 lengths, with a lot of them pulling up or unseating and falling. Only one other finished, and that was a further 41 lengths behind. Outlaw Peter looks like he's just massively improved this year, and I think it's quite clever placing to keep running him in these novice hurdles, picking up races, getting more experience, and see where they end up with him. I don't think he's. Let me just check. His rating is 130. Now, for me, that's a good handicap mark. I think they could work on that. You know, that's a workable handicap mark in a handicap, obviously. Yeah, I'm quite interested in Outlaw Peter going forward. You know, I expect him to win this, as much as Thomas Moore's debut figure for David Pipe was very good, and Scarface's effort behind Skytastic a few runs back was very good. I don't think they're in the same class as Outlaw Peter, and I think this Outlaw Peter is one that I think he's quite good, actually, to be fair, and I think he's going to be a very, very good handicap. I hope, you know, it's very clever placing to keep running him in these types of races, these novices, because his mark's not really being adjusted. And then drop him in a handicap later on in this season, off this same sort of handicap mark that he's currently got, and I think he'll go very, very close. But as I said, I think he'll win on Saturday. He's going to be odds on, or at least a very short price, so he's probably not a betting proposition, but he is one that I am interested to watch. The second race that interests me is this one here, featuring City Chief and Mr. Coffee, both for Nicky Henderson. City Chief, you know, his form was okay. He won a couple of novice handicaps, or a novice and then a novice handicap, before finishing 5th at Punchestown over just shy of 3 miles in a handicap hurdle. Now, he's one of those that if they go straight into novice handicap chase, you can imagine that they're going to be the trainer thinks they're well handicapped over the fences. But we've got our old friend in this race, Mr. Coffee. Personally, I think his hurdles form is better, and I think some of his chase form is better than what City Chief has achieved over hurdles. I hope he runs Mr. Coffee, personally. I think this will, you know, the track will suit. It's a 3 mile race, which means, you know, he'll be fine at the trip. Just don't really know what they're doing with Mr. Coffee. Every time he seems to be declared to run, they then take him out. And now they've put him in another race with another Nicky Henderson horse that would surely have a big chance on his own. Yeah, I don't know what they're doing with Mr. Coffee. As I said, wherever he turns up, I do like him. I think he's a very, very good horse. And I think he's got more in hand on his handicap mark. I almost don't want them to waste it in this £8,000 race. The interesting opponent here would be Keldestan. Obviously, some very good form in the book, but hasn't run for 685 days, as you can see here. 685 days. Surely he's going to need to run. But before that, some of his figures were very good. You can see that R5 figure of 158.6 is a very good figure in the context of this race. That was over hurdles. This is over fences. This is over further. Mr. Coffee wins a race whatever he runs in. even if he ran in the Ladbroke Trophy, the Coral Gold Cup, I'd be really keen on him. I think he's got a great chance. I just hope they don't waste him here, which could mean that they end up running City Chief here. So yeah, that's what I'm kind of thinking at this race. But it's definitely a race to keep your eye on. I want to talk about two races here together, and they are the Ascot 205 and the Haydock 150, because as you can see, Hitman is entered in both. He's top rated in both, and I think he goes very close in both. If he runs at Haydock though, I mean, that's a penalty kick for him. Surely he just needs to jump round there and he wins that. Ernie River is not as good, simple as that. Manila Drama, Alnadam, some of these they're very good handicappers. Hitman's a graded horse without a doubt, and if he goes here, I think it's a penalty kick for him. The interesting thing is at Ascot, Paul Nicholls has also got Pic D'Orhy. Now, Pic D'Orhy is a former Betfair Hurdle winner, has a bit of class about him, and could certainly run a big race here. Paul's also got St Calvados, who is another that could certainly push Long Press if that's the one that turns up, and is the big danger to the Paul Nicholls 2 or maybe 3 if they all run. I can't imagine him running all 3. But I would almost be going for Pic D'Orhy here, St Calvados here, running them both, taking on Long Press, and sending Hitman to Haydock to win. I think you've got a definite win at Haydock, and then you've got 2 big chances at Ascot. And I've always been a fan of Pic D'Orhy, and I think he can certainly push Long Press close if they go that way round. So last season, Sam Thomas made a bit of a mess of Good Risk at All by not getting him qualified for Betfair Hurdle. He ended up not running in it because he wasn't qualified before proving that he was well ahead of his mark. He's won a couple of nice races. There's one horse in this race that I think is he's in my horses to follow. If you follow my videos, you know I like this horse a lot. It's all about that step up in trip. If the step up in trip works or brings out a bit more improvement, then I think Might Eye is going to take all the beating here. I think his form is rock solid. I thought his effort behind Constitution Hill was very, very good. His effort behind John Bon was very, very good. He's a really good horse, and he's nicely handicapped. That's what I'm surprised about with Might Eye, his handicap mark. He's only rated 142. I thought he'd be nearer 150 on what he's achieved, and yet he's not. He's only 142. He would carry 11.9 if he ran here, but I think he would go very, very close. And if you matched them up, Might Eye and Good Risk at All, I would say that Might Eye is the better horse of the two, and Good Risk at All actually carries £1 more than Might Eye. So keep an eye out for Might Eye. Obviously, there's also the sleeper there in Run for Oscar for Charles Burns, winner of the Cesarewitch earlier on this year, last month or the month before that. Now back over hurdles, could be completely thrown in. But I'm very keen on Might Eye here in the Betfair Exchange Stayers Hurdle over 3 mile. The 240 at Ascot is not a betting race at all because of Constitution Hill. I'm really excited to see this horse back again and win again. I think even when you get impressive horses at Cheltenham or at Aintree, I still think, that was nice, that was good. This horse actually is like, wow, I am so impressed and in awe of Constitution Hill. I don't get that often with horses. This is the next Faugheen, Hurricane Fly. I think if when Constitution Hill turns up in the Champion Hurdle, I think he beats Honeysuckle, and I think he beats her quite comfortably. I think he beats her 2 or 3 lengths, with Nico not really doing a lot. I think Constitution Hill is that good. I honestly think he's a bit of a freak, and we could put him in the same sort of league on if he was a horse on the flat as maybe Frankel. I really think that Constitution Hill can be that good over hurdles and that good in the National Hunt Sphere, that he could go through his career unbeaten, or unbeaten for a long time. What's Honeysuckle? Is she 14 from 14? Constitution Hill will beat her at Cheltenham. So on Saturday, the Betfair Chase is going to take place, and there was a little bit of market concern last night about A Plus Tard, but Henry de Bromhead has come out and said that he's absolutely fine. When hopefully he runs in the Betfair Chase, he's going to beat the others. Paul Nicholls has said it's a tough task for Frodon. I think Frodon could get second here. I really think he's good enough to get second and beat the others. Protectorat, I've never been a fan of. Bristol de May, I know he likes Haydock or loves Haydock, but I think he's just on the downgrade now. And Eldorado Allen, I just don't think he's good enough. So if I was Paul, I'd definitely be running Frodon here and try and get second. It's good prize money for second. And if anything does happen to A Plus Tard, or there was a concern or there was a niggle and they're not telling anyone and they're still going to run A Plus Tard and see what happens, and then it doesn't quite work, then I think Frodon could certainly pick up the pieces. The final race that I want to talk about is the 2 mile handicap at Ascot. 65 grand for the winner, and I think this is a brilliant bit of placement from Alan King if he runs there. Normally you see these horses stay in graded grade 1, grade 2, grade 3 company and bump into someone. Another horse, Edwardstone, might have to take on Nube Negra or Greyanatine and horses like that. Edwardstone here, even with the weight he's got to carry 11 stone 12, would beat all of these and win 65 grand and get another win on the board. I think this is a great bit of placement from Alan King. We're starting to see a little bit more with trainers running horses at the top of the handicap. Even I Like to Move It, who won what did he win? The Greatwood Hurdle at Cheltenham at the weekend, was top weight. But we had Brave Man's Game, top weight, win a handicap last year. And on the flat, obviously, Trushan won the Northumberland Plate off top weight. And I think more and more trainers are just starting to get the idea that maybe we can run a horse off top weight and win a handicap with him. I think, I really, really like Edwardstone here. I think he's better than all of these. Third Time Lucky would be interesting off that handicap mark, being that he's getting £10. He would be getting £10 from Edwardstone. That would probably bring him closer, but I still think Edwardstone is good enough and better than £10 better. Better than £10 better than Third Time Lucky. And that's where I'd be going, and hopefully Alan King decides to win this handicap before going back into graded company.